All right. I'm going to say all that again. So now we're recording. It's November 12th, 2022. And first class back together in person after a hiatus due to a lot of travel. But what feels important and salient for today and relevant to what we're going to do together is that I was down in Florida for the Polyvagal Institute conference. And thanks, Christine. I'll get there when I move back on my mat. For now, I'm going to see everybody. So, but the piece that feels most salient for what I want to bring here today, because there's so many threads that feel like, okay, more understanding of polyvagal theory, depth of integration, depth of how I want to bring this into yoga. I'm super psyched just to keep integrating all of these threads. But the piece that feels salient today is actually a poem that came out of that process that I've shared with a few of you here already, and you'll receive it again today. And also inspired, and thank you, Joseph. I'm so glad that you're here. Inspired by a story that Joseph sent my way. Joseph is a fellow yogi here and also a Sufi scholar, and if I may say so. And while I was at the conference, there was a very synchronistic story that arrived in my email inbox that touched me in a very heart-centered way, a very personal way, and also inspired the classes that I was teaching down there. So I received this story and then was able to share this story before we dropped into a yoga practice on the beach in Florida. So I'm going to share the story, I'm going to share the poem, and then we're going to go into a little practice that's inspired by both. Because it's a little bit of a longer share today, I would love to invite you to see how and where you'd like to be to receive this. Do you want to remain seated? Would you like to lay down and receive this? What would be the most nourishing way for you to receive these words and the imagery and what comes along with this? The overall piece that I'll share with you around it is that the journey that we go through in the states of our nervous system allow us to go between experiences of expansion and contraction. In every arena of our being, we can go into the feeling of being tightly bound energetically and somatically. We can go into the experience of feeling quite free and open and present. We can even go into the states where we feel like we have nothing left, where we are taken to the very ground of our being, and all we need, all we have left within us is to surrender. Is that there are times in which we might want to even fight or push against or make any of these states wrong. The ones that maybe leave us feeling agitated, or the ones that leave us in despair. But in truth, they're all various keys to freedom. They're all pathways. And what I think is maybe the biggest takeaway from the time that I've had in the last 5 or 6 weeks is that when I speak often in my work about nervous system flexibility and the capacity to reside across the various states of our being, emotions and energetic states, that we're building greater capacity to embrace both, that full range, including the part of us that needs to go into what I call cocooning, into the deepest rest. So the physical class that we're doing today is going to focus on opening what I call the gates of the heart. So we'll be opening a lot in the side body. We'll be going into some twists. And I invite you to breathe into and open the gates of your heart as we go into this practice. We'll stimulate some lymphatic flow. We'll awaken a sense of joy and freedom from that sense. I'm going to borrow a quote to begin, which is a quote from Fannie Lou Townsend Hamer, a Black civil rights activist, who said, "Nobody is free until we are all free." And that's the inspiration as we open the gates together. And the story. The story that I've chosen is the Indian bird. Okay. And I'm going to just tell it in storytelling style, and I'll do my best here. So this Indian bird is held in a cage by a merchant. And the Indian bird has been asked by his merchant, is there anything I can do for you? I'm going back to India. And the bird says, I would like my freedom. And the merchant says, I cannot offer you that. I cannot give that to you. Is there anything else I can do? And the bird says, please go to the jungle, go to the land where I have been taken from, and tell my relatives that you have me in captivity. And so the merchant goes, and on his trip to India, goes to the jungle and finds the birds and says, I have your relative in captivity in my home. At which point, one of those birds falls to the ground. Oh my goodness, says the merchant. He goes back home. His bird says to him, do you have good news for me? The merchant says, no, indeed, I have very bad news. When I told your relatives that I have you in captivity, one of them fell to the ground. I think, thinking he's killed this bird. Immediately, his very own bird falls to the bottom of the cage. Now, what happens? And as the merchant realizes that indeed he has done this to his very own bird, he opens the cage, he brings the bird to the windowsill. And the bird, after a short while, flies off, re-enlivens, goes off into a tree, turns back and says, indeed, you have brought me very good news. For you have freed me. And Joseph, you can correct me later if you want, but my understanding of this is that in freeing me, in the opening of the heart, of the realization of the empathy that happens in that moment, you have freed yourself as well. There is something important right here, right? And to me, the depth of what happens, both in the recognition, in the surrender, in the realization that sometimes the only path to freedom is to be with what happens when we let go, when we do not have control over those places within us. So a lot of words there, but this is the poem that it inspired in me. For now we are free. There is a pattern hidden in the tapestries of our biology that carries within it a map to our freedom. Like blueprints, there is a pathway to be discovered in the cellular matrix and connective tissues of heart and lungs, belly and brain. Deep in the very fibers of these precious bodies. These precious bodies we inhabit, we discover portals to personal and collective liberation. But this is not where the story begins. No, we must return to a time when we are confined by the binding forces of separation, loss, and heartache. Perhaps a time when you too have felt imprisoned by pain, constrained by your mind, or disoriented by the distress of this broken world. To a time when you two were locked in this room with no key, no way to escape. To a time when you two had no choice but to surrender. Head bowed close to earth, we are called to descend into darkness cocooned within. to settle into the marrow that carries your existence, pulsing through your veins, nothing to do but to be. Descend into darkness, cocooned within, to settle into the marrow that carries your existence, pulsing through your veins, nothing to do but to be. It is here that something new begins to appear. Slowly, your eyes adjust. You begin to sense space and time. Slowly, your ears fine-tune themselves to the subtle tones of songs sung in hushed tones, passed down through generations. And the patterns begin to reveal themselves. They arise, waiting to be discovered as if for the very first time. You find them in this stillness, like constellations of light that stand out against the vastness of a blackened sky, like a North Star, a compass in the night. Perhaps you too have sensed how these moments resonate in the pit of your belly, the catch of your throat, the ringing of your ears, the ache in your head, and the cry called out from the depths of your very own heart. As if for the first time, you too are longing to be heard. Your very own voice, your clarion call has been heard by this benevolent universe that we share. Your clarion call has been heard by this benevolent universe that we share. Love has heard the call. Love has come to guide your way, and you stand uncertain at this new edge of life. Oh, but this love is so new, so unfamiliar. You turn away in fear once and again. But it is time to let go of what is known for what is yet to be revealed. And love, she is patient, and she persists in her quiet manner. You sense her as the light shifts across the windowsill, sending a play of shimmers and shadows across this place you have learned to call home. She returns as birdsong and honeybee in the distant ocean roar and the howl of the wolf under the now full moon. And suddenly, without realizing it, you too have stepped across the threshold onto the soft green moss, where the ferns unfurl their ancient wisdom, inviting you to join them in their dance toward the sun. It is here that you discover the fibers of connection resonating in your hips as you lay belly down on the moist earth to embody the primordial movements of salamander and snake. It is here that you learn to crawl and walk as if for the very first time, for these evolutionary blueprints guide you as they have done for countless other brave souls for thousands of years. Indeed, they are here to guide a path to personal and collective liberation. As we rise up like the tree, our roots firmly ensconced in the moist, dark earth. It is here that you look around as if for the very first time. You too have discovered that you are not alone. You find soft smiles, bodies rocking, drums beating, dancing storytellers spinning webs like maps woven into ritual and song. Yes, you have arrived. You are standing on this path, a trail traversed by countless wisdom seekers who have come before you. They have left you their guideposts and lanterns to illuminate the way out of the dark woods to the clearing where we arrive. We join each other hand in hand, heart to heart, eye to eye. For now, we are free. With that said, find a comfortable spot on your mat if you're not there already. 2 blocks are helpful today. And if you have 2 blocks, one towards the front and one towards the back. And thank you. Thank you for receiving those words. All righty. So as we begin, we're going to take a moment, arrive, receive, integrate, maybe a moment to just allow yourself to notice how this has landed within you. Maybe rub your palms together, taking a deep breath. And then if you'd like, bringing your hands to your face. You might even for a moment pause, palms over your eyes, letting your head rest into your hands, heavy. Feeling how your palms over your eyes let you sense an invitation to move inward with your attention. And then maybe sweeping palms outward from center of your forehead towards your temples or across your cheeks, maybe your hairline or scalp. You might move your hands down, greeting the front of your throat, your shoulders to elbows. And then I'll invite you to cross your thumbs, and to bring your hands across your chest. And this here is Garuda Mudra and the eagle mudra. So we're going to take this bird mudra in celebration of our practice today, this Garuda practice. And I'll offer up the words of intention for today. Deep within me are the keys to freedom. You might say this quietly to yourself if you'd like, if it resonates. Deep within me are the keys to freedom. I am here to open the gates. I am here to open the gates. And perhaps leaving one hand over your heart and one over your belly, and just beginning to sense the movement of breath and feeling how you might find just some subtle, gentle movements that are inspired by your breath. So you might inhale and lift hard and expand, and exhale, find a little bit of a contraction inward. Moving, inspired by your sensations, and allowing yourself just to notice how your belly responds to breath and your chest responds to breath. You can even give a sound to this. You can curl your head forward if you'd like and lift up. And you can choose to keep your hands here, or you might free your arms and just allowing yourself to let the arms come into the play. Feeling into that quality of expansion and contraction. Neither better nor worse. both an equal player. This quality in the yoga background that I have of embracing both the willful side of our practice and the surrender. The two wings of the bird that function in tandem to create flight. And then perhaps greeting our side bodies, which we'll play with a lot today. And you might lean to one side. You can use your hand on the floor here. You can keep the upper arm at your hip or overhead, whatever supports you. You might look down to the side or up. And then we can take that the other way. And then from here, I'm going to turn my back for a moment just so you can see the next invitation. This one is perhaps clasping your hands and then drawing your hands to your right hip. So clasped hands around to the right. And then from here, just really letting your left shoulder drop down as you draw your right ear toward your right shoulder. And in very subtle ways, you might dip your chin just a little bit down or lift up, sending your breath into the left side of your neck. And then hands, you might even change the crossing of your fingers, clasping in the opposites, maybe unfamiliar direction with the hands, and then taking your one fist here to your left hip, lowering your right shoulder, leaning ear towards the left, and then those subtle movements of your head. Noticing how you can send your breath into sensation as if you had little lungs in the sides of your neck. And then unwinding hands and shoulders. You can perhaps rotate your shoulders in one direction and the other direction. Good. And then from here, we'll go with our Garuda again, our eagle, this time eagle arms. So as you open your arms wide, I'll invite you to take right arm under the left, and you might pause with a hug, taking hands to shoulders. You might stay with the hug, or you might continue to take your forearms around. So now we're crossing the forearms, and you can perhaps take fingers to opposite palms. So it's like a, I don't know, triple cross in here, right? The elbows, the forearms, the hands. And then in whichever version, if it's the hug or if it's the Garuda Mudra, you might lift the arm, the elbows up. You might draw yourself down a little bit. And again, finding your breath and movement. Inhale and exhale. Unwind, freeing your arms, take flight for a moment, and this time left arm under right. You can pause with the self hug, and then maybe crossing forearms and hands, and you can lift your elbows and lower, and maybe your spine comes for the ride. Beautiful. And then unwinding from here, this time another little shoulder opener. We're going to bring the arms up overhead. And I'm going to invite you to take your right palm facing it upward and left palm on top facing down, and then sliding your hands apart into what we call bear grip. So basically just letting your fingers catch. And then from that catch, just allowing yourself to draw your elbows to the left. Okay, so right palm up, left palm down, elbows to the left. You can even send the back of your head back towards your right forearm. And just breathing into whatever awakens in your shoulders and your arms. We're not doing a full side lean right here, just the elbows to the left and opening. Finding your breath. And then we'll bring hands up overhead. We're going to switch it out. Left palm up, right palm down. Find that bear grip as you slide fingertips to grip. And then elbows to the right. And you can send your head back towards your left forearm. Beautiful. And then we'll release from there. This time, invitation to lean back and take your right leg, and we'll give a few rotations around right ankle and then right knee. So this very short visiting of these joints of your body in each direction, and then right hip. So you can take knee and foot in your hands if you like, nice big wide circles in each direction. And if you'd like a tighter grip here, you could take elbow and elbow around your knee and foot and rock the baby. Right? Give it a little bit of love, even give it a kiss. Oh, the babies need the love. Okay. And then you get to choose. I'm going to show this first with ankle and just kind of reaching, and you can even hold under the calf, just reaching your right leg out. And then you can even switch hands and maybe a little twist towards the right. You don't have to totally straighten the leg, just a little bit of a stretch here. And you could use a strap for this too. You might even take this hold of your foot and open one direction and then open the other direction. One more time each way. And gorgeous. And this time, I'll invite you to take right leg out to the earth, and maybe a few breaths as you lift and lower. And since it's early on, we're not going for any achieved stretch. We are just allowing movement to wake up a little bit of sensation. And likewise, we're going to find that same just gentle movement into the side body. So as if you're leaning your right shoulder now towards your right leg, and left hand can stay on the hip or maybe come overhead like before, just feeling your way in and out, greeting side body. And these rocking motions, little invitation in the mix. Beautiful. And then lifting up on this side, we're going to lean into left hip enough to bend right knee and placing your foot behind. So now we're in deer. Now, sometimes the invitation in deer is to keep that right foot at an angle out. This time I will invite you to draw the top of the foot down. So it's as if the toes are now facing more behind you. But if that's uncomfortable in any way, foot out, or just finding your way, and you can sit up on something if it's too much for your knee. Okay. And then with this, some curling towards the left and settling back. And it's nice to even place your hand on your right hip as you find these gentle twists and allowing your right hip to lift and to lower back, or you might take your arm with you. Beautiful. And next time as we come back into center, the invitation is to lean a little bit towards the right. And this is why that right toes or those right toes feel tucked back might feel a little better. So just feeling into a side body lean towards your right hip, right side, and your right hip might lower just a little more to the mat, and you're always listening to sensation. So if there's ever anything I'm inviting that your body says, here's my edge, meet your edge and don't push past. Okay, and now the unwinding of all of this lets us release right foot back in front, and we'll find all of this on the left side. Lifting left foot and rotating in one direction and the other direction and around the knee. Shin gets to find his little circles and the other way. And then big, broad hip circles, hands to knee and foot, and the other way. And maybe some tighter rocking here. Rock the baby. Give it a kiss. And whether you're holding your ankle or your foot, a little bit of just opening, gentle twist. You get to feel that range of motion and make it yours. And we'll find that long leg to the earth and a few gentle movements. I often think of this as the upper body is the wave and your leg is the seashore, and you're just allowing that wave to roll across the sand and retreat once again. Beautiful. And we'll find that same quality of movement with the side body, moving towards your foot and away. Lovely. Leaning into right hip, bending left knee, and sending left foot behind, and maybe those toes behind as well, if that's okay on your leg. And then from here, some gentle twist towards the right, and you'll notice how your left hip will lift and lower. You can keep left hand on your hip, or maybe you allow the arm to lift if that feels good. Beautiful. And then maybe a little side bend toward the left. And you can kind of feel your way in as your left hip might settle a little closer to the earth in this one. And breathing into the intercostals of the right side, opening the gates. Stunning. All right. We're going to lift up from here. I'm going to turn on my mat and come into a wide-legged feet. So my feet are about mat's widths apart. And then both knees can rock to the right and to the left. So now we've got a little deer from side to side. And your choice, you can keep two hands on the mat, one hand on the mat, reaching the opposite arm. Or you might even explore, look, Ma, no hands, right? Just finding how body weight and core support this movement from side to side. a little freedom in the upper body. Beautiful. From center, we're going to draw feet a little closer together. And this time, I'll show a few options. Option one is to keep feet on the floor. And we're going to alternately lift one foot off the ground and the other with a little bit of a side twist. So that's option one, twisting as you lift the leg, twisting towards the lifted side. Option two is balance. So now we've got a Navasana, a boat pose. And once again, we can open from side to side as you alternately lengthen out through each leg. A little bit more core involvement in this one. And you could hold under the knee, or you could press to the outside of the leg pressing into hand as you switch from side to side. And just notice what happens in that leg press, that little isometric engagement. My voice shakes a little bit. It's hard. Just a few more on each side. Again, pressing leg into hand, hand into leg as you open and lengthen. Little twists. Okay. Even yourself out. And whew, feet down, invitation to come down to your back. Once you arrive on your back, taking right knee in, clasping around your right shin, and sending left leg long. Now you can keep the upper body down for this whole series, or you might lift through your head, your shoulders, and we've got that same quality of that pressing the leg into hands, hands pressing back. You can stay right here, or maybe you add lifting left leg and lowering, hovering. Finding your breath. Lovely. Now, next time you bring left leg down, I'll invite you to plant your left foot onto the ground, hands behind your head, and then turn towards the right. And as you turn towards the right, you might keep that right leg bent, you might lengthen it, you might keep left foot on the earth, or you might lengthen it. And now we've got a static hold and a twist, maybe a little shake in there. Find your breath. And then replanting left foot and lengthening your right leg, and exhale as you lift. You might hover left toes. Open it up. Exhale, contract, lift. Inhale, exhale, turning toward the right. Everything can draw in. And one more like that. As we come back to center, this time, right leg over left. Now we've got Garudasana legs, eagle legs. You can lift both feet off the ground if you'd like, and exhale as we curl it towards center, and inhale to expand. Maybe left toes touch the earth. One more like that. Lowering through upper body, keeping your legs as they are. And now pressing palm over your right thigh and pressing into the legs pressing back into the hands. Feel that isometric hold, the awakening of your lower belly. How good does that feel? Hello. And then we're going to let it go. Let the knees come in, reaching down around for opposite ankles. And a little supine Gomukhasana, cow facing pose here. And you can use your arms here to draw your feet, your ankles down a little bit closer. You can even press with your ankles into your hands and then soften that once again. We're going to let go from here, this time clasping around right knee as you send, left knee, as you send your right leg long. And you can keep your upper body on the earth, or maybe you lift through upper body, hovering that right leg off the floor, pressing left knee into hands, hands pressing back. And you might stay just like this, or continue the press with the hands and knee, and maybe right leg lifts and lowers. Beautiful. One more like that. Bending through right knee, hands behind your head, curling towards the left knee. Now, this is a fine place to stay, right? There's a lot going on. Or you might take right leg long, or you might lengthen through left leg, right? So we're in a static twist. Come back to breath. And then right foot to the earth and open through the elbows. Exhale, curl in, maybe lift everything. Inhale, you can lower left leg. Exhale to lift. Inhale. Exhale. One more like that. Beautiful. Crossing left over right and eagle crunches, curling it in. That feels like a very strange statement. The eagle doesn't necessarily crunch unless it's eating like a crab, but let's just go with it for a little bit here. Just curling everything in, find that contraction, that little shake, and then inhale. Okay, two more. Lowering through your upper body, isometric hold, hands pressing into legs, legs pressing back. And then let it all go. Let the knees fall in, taking a hold of opposite ankles, and either a little bit of gentle movement, little circles, whatever supports you, or stillness. Good. As we unwind legs, you can perhaps take hands behind your knees, taking a few rocks on your spine if you'd like. And then eventually rocking up to sitting, planting your hands. You can turn your fingers towards you or away, whatever feels better on your wrists. And then just lifting your hips here. So now we're in a reverse tabletop shape, and you can stay lifted, or you might lower and lift, lower and lift. Inhale and exhale. Just two more. Just feeling that in your body and the strength of your back body and the backs of your arms. And then lowering down. And one more time, if you'd like, you can rock and roll on your spine, this time on way to tabletop. And arriving in a tabletop shape, And taking a moment, just some free form, work it out, finding what's moving in your body now from these initial movements that we've had together. How do you integrate and receive, and how are sensations guiding you now? Beautiful. And from our tabletop, I'll invite you to take left leg behind and under, knee towards chest. Left to lift, listen carefully, around knee to shoulder. And again, to lift and under, and to lift and around. And this time, as we go under, we're going to lift back up. And now, as we come around, planting your left foot to the earth. And we'll come into a half squat. Now, half squat, and I'm going to turn towards you for these so you can see me a little more clearly. But half squat might be up on your block, right? So you get to decide what your knees want for this and how much depth, or you might stay just the whole time kind of lifted here as your half squat. So feel this out for your body. In whichever shape you're taking, a few spinal movements. You can curl in and lift. You can find the side body once again. Maybe a little twist. And now we're going to turn toward the left and then open right hand plants, left leg reaches, and then draw it back in. And once again, expand and contract. Right hand plants, left foot reaches. You can pause here next time you arrive. Pausing, stretching, feeling the beauty of that long left side body. And then left hand can rotate, 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 lifting you up to gate. We'll open the gates, leaning towards the left. Just enjoy, luxuriate in these shapes and spaces, especially after awakening the core as we just did. This can feel so delicious. We're going to come back down and around, planting right hand again and lifting left leg if you'd like. This time, left elbow and knee can come together and apart and together and apart. So we are enlivening and awakening and strengthening side bodies as well as opening. And then from here, I'll go ahead and invite you to come back down through to table. So feeling left and right sides of your body, you can wiggle this out for a moment, side to side. And then it's right knee to lift and under and lift into the shoulder and lift and under and lift to your shoulder. Last time, under and lift towards the right foot can plant. This side of your body might have a different story to tell. Maybe you're lifted up, seated on a block, right? And so you can do all of these same spinal movements in whichever version of this you're taking, right? So that really honoring your body. And eventually we're going to curl toward your right leg and then expand left hand plants, right arm and leg reach. And then draw it in and expand. One more time, drawing it in and expand hand, foot, right wrist, right hand around the wrist, rotates, rotates, rotates up and around and over into gate. And as you find your way in on the right side, breathing and listening, all of those subtle movements inside of the shape. And then left hand around and around and around back to the earth. Balancing, maybe right foot comes off the earth. And exhale, knee and elbow. And inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, planting your foot, coming back around. Table. And I'll invite you to settle your hips back into some variation of child's pose. So if child's hips to heels is uncomfortable, placing a pillow or a bolster between hips and heels, and perhaps letting yourself find your way in. And I will invite knees a little closer for this one, so not a super wide kneed child's pose, and you'll see why in a moment. But take a moment to arrive from all of that movement as you settle into stillness. What's present for you now? And you sense and feel the perimeter of your body and recollect yourself inside of that space, filling your very own skin. And now the add-on, if you'd like, is perhaps to walk your hands off to the left. And as we come into this side body child's pose, stretch, this opener, you can stay right here. You can maybe lift even onto your fingertips. You can explore what happens as you settle your right hip a little further down. And you might even bend your left elbow and take this into just a little bit of a twist. So now you can bend into the elbow. You're turning the mid spine and still settling your sacrum, your low spine down, and then breathing into the intercostals, breathing between your ribs, your right side body. Absolutely beautiful. Let's take it around side to walking hands off to the right, taking a moment here, both arms long, maybe on fingertips or palms. Noticing the sensation under your armpits, under your scapula, your shoulder blades, and then maybe that twist as you bend through the right elbow, planting right hand and turning slightly towards the right. And then walking back towards center. And lifting back up, you can lean forward for a moment just to tuck your toes, and you maybe settle your hips onto your heels. You can wiggle in for a moment. So for my new folks, the nature of our movement in this class is that we build slowly, but we build. And so as we come into standing shapes, and you're going to know your body, really honor, and if at any point you're like, that's enough for me, or I really need to integrate thus far, you can come into that child's pose, resting, or supine on your back for a shavasana. So you get to choose your adventure here, okay? So in toes pose, I talk to you here just to keep you here a little longer. We're opening up through the bottoms of your feet. And now we'll open up through the tops of the feet, untucking toes. And maybe lifting one knee and the other, breathing into your ankles and maybe both knees. Okay, we're not here too long. We're going to come right up and out into downward facing dog. And first time here, so make it yours. You can walk it out. You can shift your hips from side to side. You might lift and lower your legs or bend both knees, lifting onto toes. So these moments of a postural home base, but your own personal exploration, they're so deeply valuable in this practice. It really allows your sensations to be your greatest teacher. How does your body communicate to you? And can you be an exquisite listener? And then slowly, we're going to walk feet towards hands or hands towards feet, however you'd like to arrive in a forward fold, primarily as a transition to standing. And we'll find a halfway lift and just finding that strength of your core once again. You can keep a micro bend in your knees, lengthen and fold. Lengthen and fold. And then this time as we lengthen, filling, once again, waking up, drawing navel towards spine, just enough to really wake up through your core. And we'll come all the way up to standing. First time standing in this particular practice, arriving in a new relationship to gravity. What's present for you? What are you noticing right here? Even feeling those subtle or not so subtle shifts in your heart rate, in your breath. And take as much time as you need. I'm going to guide some movement from here. We're going to find that same bear grip. So this time I'll invite you to take left palm facing up, right palm facing down. Slide and grip with your fingers so that we've got that nice little grip right there. Okay. And then this time we'll take this into a side bend toward the right. Breathing into side body, you might notice more sensation under your scapula or armpit. And inhale, we're going to switch the grip. Right palm up, left palm down, bear grip to the left. Your gaze can be down, forward, or up. And you might notice subtle changes with each of those shifts. And to lift. This time, left hand kind of behind your upper back, right hand to left elbow. And similarly, and you might not come down quite so far, and you can explore pressing the back of your head into your forearm. And then lifting up, switching it out, right hand behind, left hand to right elbow and up and over. You can even explore how it feels to lift right elbow a little bit closer towards the ceiling, like it's pressing up and back. And then we'll lift up on this side. Ooh, freeing your arms, rotate your shoulders if you'd like. And then perhaps taking your hands behind your back and drawing both shoulders back down, a little lift of your heart. Inhale. And exhale into a forward fold. Softly release hands to earth. Halfway lift, inhale. And exhale. Hands plant, stepping back, high plank. Here for a moment, feeling That whole body awake, strong. And exhale, knees, chest, chin to the earth. And we'll become snake. A few cobra rolls here. Inhale and exhale, finding your rhythm, your range of motion. How much weight you place in your hands, how much lift of your heart, completely up to you. And settling down, hands plant. You can move through table or even a brief child's. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. And if you'd like, perhaps exploring dropping both heels toward the right. You can even bend through your right knee a little bit more. You might reach the left hand or even onto left fingertips and just really reach through that left side body. And then back through center, both heels to the left. You can bend into left knee, grounding into that right foot, and then maybe reaching through that right hand a little more. And through center. And we're going to make our way to the front of the mat, and you get to choose your adventure once again. So you might walk there. You might choose to hop or pounce to the front, whatever's going to serve you. Once you arrive front of mat, we'll find a halfway lift and an exhale. And lengthen all the way to stand. Another variation on our side body opening. This time as we draw arms up overhead, invitation to clasp around left wrist as we reach around to the right. Inhaling center, clasping right wrist, leaning to the left. Through center. This time just opening the elbows, lifting through your heart in a little kind of goalpost heart opener. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift here. And exhale, planting hands, stepping back. Once again, we'll kind of wave forward into a high plank and lowering knees, lowering chest. Finding a Sphinx pose this time. Forearms to the earth. And just allowing yourself to find a little wiggle of your hips and a bend of your left knee, Sphinx frog, my personal favorite. Today we're going to call it salamander. Okay, so we're going to take left hand and just taking a gaze over your left shoulder towards those left toes. You can even stick out your tongue. Right, give it a little hiss. We'll do one more like that. Good. And then back through to center. We'll take that to the other side. Bending right knee, a little salamander shape. You could stay just like this, or you might plant right hand and gaze to the right. Give it a hiss. Finding those primordial shapes, right? And back through to center. Unwind. Planting hands. Through your transition, we meet downward facing dog. In this downward dog, an added twist. You can shorten your stance by walking your hands a little closer to feet or feet to hands, and then maybe reaching under your body, taking a hold of left ankle and maybe a gaze through. Hello. Gaze through under your left armpit. And we'll switch that out. Shorten stance, left hand, right ankle. Maybe your gaze comes underneath. And release them once again. And you can widen your stance to your downward dog. Enjoy that for a moment. And your transition to the front. So you can step or pounce or hop, whatever serves you here. Finding that halfway lift. And exhale to fold. And inhale, walking your feet together. I'm going to face you, but you can stay facing your front of your mat if you'd like. And we'll find it Utkatasana. So Utkatasana, right? A seated chair shape, a lifting of the arms. And we're I always think of this one as this really profound standing in between the connection to the earth and our connection to the heavens, and feeling that really grounded presence and the realms of potential all at the same time. From our chair, invitation to take hands together, sit a little lower, and to take left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Now, for today, rather than staying in prayer, I'm going to invite you to take left elbow towards your right shoulder and right hand on your sacrum. And just checking that your sacrum stays nice and even, so the twist gets to happen in the mid-spine, and you can gaze down to the side or up, listening to your neck. We unwind, inhale to lift, and exhale through center, side two, right elbow, outside of left knee, hand to shoulder, right? Left hand to sacrum, mid-spine twist. Beautiful. Unwind, we lift. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, half. And planting hands your way to downward dog. Maybe moving through a halfway lower, a chaturanga. Maybe through an upward facing dog. We meet in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, now the invitation is to inhale, right leg behind, and exhale forward, lowering left knee. And a few moments here, you can come in and out of the lunge, reading your body in this shape. Eventually, to lift up here. And in this lifted lunge, maybe a lean towards the right. And then left elbow towards the right, hand to shoulder, right hand to sacrum. And you can stay right here. Or you might curl right toes on, left toes under, and lift left knee. Keeping right hand on sacrum, freeing your left arm. Just let it lift you up and around for a moment into an exalted crescent lunge. And then we'll open it up all the way forward into a 5-pointed star. Whoa. Warrior 2 to the back over your left leg. Feeling perhaps the familiarity and the groundedness of this shape, the strength right here. And to inhale, we reach away. And exhale into extended side angle. Inhale, right fingertips can lift you up and out again. This time in preparation to lean forward, forward, forward into Trikonasana. And here's where that block might be a friendly support under your left hand. And with all of these shapes, you can come in and out. You can find your variation. There's no need for some arriving at the perfect pose, right? You're still listening to and following sensations as you find your shape. You can bend and reach and arrive at what arriving means to you. Eventually taking gaze down, right hand down. You can lift right heel and right knee can lower. Just like we did on side 1, coming in and out of your lunge. And then eventually lifting up. You can take a side bend if you'd like toward the left. And then maybe a twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left thigh, hand to shoulder, left hand to sacrum. You might stay right here. Or with right toes curled under, you might lift right knee. And perhaps keeping left hand where it is as you lift all the way up and around, exalting, and then opening. 5-pointed star. Turning toward the right, rebending. Inhale away and extended side angle. Once again, lifting up, away, and reaching Trikonasana. From here, turning forward, you can lift left heel, walking into low lunge. And this time, stepping left foot forward to meet the right as we lift up to stand. So I have one more kind of playful standing flow. And it's going to start just by getting our eagle in our body. So it's going to start with a balance. So I want to start there, and then we'll take it into a little flow before we settle down back onto our mats. So for eagle, invitation is to bend both knees. And we'll start with our left leg as our standing leg here. No, let's start. I'm going to switch that. We're going to start with our right leg as our standing leg here. Right leg is standing. We're going to take left leg out, up and around, single or double wrap. Arms to lift, left arm under right. Maybe a hug, maybe the arms wrap as well. And when the arms wrap, you might notice that it blocks your vision. So relying a little bit more on your ears and your inner balance, your vestibular system, your proprioceptive system, sensing where you are in space. And from eagle, we're going to step wide, spread your wings, lift onto your toes, right? Lift it up, balance for a moment. Ooh, that's hard. And then let's lower it down. Good. Side two. Bending knees. Right leg out, up and around. Single, double, kickstand, wall stand, chair stand, right? Use your supports. Inhale the arms to fly, right arm underneath. Hug, full wrap, maybe lift the elbows. Notice what it requires of you to balance here. And then we unwind, find freedom, lift up, lengthen, expand. And exhale. Okay. So we're going to put that into a little flow. Play, listen to your body, opt out, all options. Okay. We're going to bend knees. I'm facing the front of my mat now. Now, right leg, standing leg, left leg out, up and over. Eagle. Inhale, arms, left arm under right. Eagle arms. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to lift left knee, curl elbows down, and come into an eagle-armed airplane. Lots of balance in this little flow. It's short and sweet. Lowering, eagle-armed crescent, lowering your toes, lifting up. You can even lift elbows for a moment. And then we unwind, five-pointed star. Familiar. Gorgeous. All right, turning towards the back of the mat, right heel lifts. Crescent lunge, right arm underneath left. Eagle arms. Lean forward, eagle airplane. And then slowly, carefully, mindfully, lifting up, wrapping right leg over left. Eagle. We'll make our way back to front of the mat. Okay, let's lift leg off of leg. Let's send it back. Here we go. Eagle armed airplane. Stepping back. Crescent. Lifting elbows. Okay. Five-pointed star. To the front. Towards the right, lifting left heel. Left arm under right. Lifting the elbows. Lean forward gently, carefully. Airplane. And then wrapping very mindfully. Left over right. And unwind. In this final unwind, really unwind. Shake your hips, shake your shoulders, shake it out. Whatever served, whatever didn't serve, whatever you're saying, but I didn't quite get that. It's recorded, come back to it. Play it again. Let something go. Not even related to this practice. Let something go from the eclipse or the election or the last 2 weeks or the last months. And then from here, we're going to make our way right down to sitting. Let's just make a nice, sweet transition. Arriving. And from our seat, I am going to invite you to, for a moment, take right leg out again. And this time, as we turn towards right leg, a little bit of a sweeter greeting. Just a slower arrival. Nothing forced, nothing to achieve. Just settling in and noticing what's changed since the first time we visited this shape. And then as we lift up, we'll revisit this through side body once again. And just exploring. How is your body speaking now? And this time as we lift up, taking right leg with you and crossing right knee over the left. So we did this on our backs in a supine gomukhasana, and we're finding this now seated, knee over knee. And you might find that your knee is way up here, and you can put a little something in there. And you might prefer to find something like this, stacking the shins, or you might simply prefer to be cross-legged with the right shin in front. So taking a moment in your chosen shape, the shape your body chooses for you. You can greet your feet if you'd like. You can come around to opposite elbows or opposite shoulders. And perhaps finding Garuda Mudra, crossing the thumbs to opposite shoulders here. And we'll unbind the legs, finding side two, left leg long, and a visit into Jana Shirshasana, which itself has a bit of a twist. You can take your left fingers out as a little outrigger as you reach long over your leg, and finding the place where your body says, there's something there. There's some sensation, something to breathe into, something to work with, and just find that and love that. And side body. Likewise, reading the very place where it feels like, that's the yoga, that's the place. That's where I want to stay and explore and be. And then lifting. And to complete our side two here, either knee over knee in Gomukhasana, or stacked shins, or this time left shin in front of right. Maybe palms to your feet. Maybe to opposite shoulders. Or if you'd like, Garuda Mudra, crossing the thumbs. And we'll unwind legs. Our final integration for today, you have choices. Choice one is to come onto your back for a Shavasana. Deeply integrative, restful shape. And choice two is to come back to sitting and maybe reclaiming and sitting in some way that feels perhaps, can't see my legs anymore, but perhaps sitting in a very even shape rather than one leg over the other. So something that really feels like it evens you out. And in that, you might place palm into palm, palm over palm. You might stay with Garuda Mudra. Receiving the gift of stillness and silence. The ways in which we have together found those guideposts and lanterns. We've illuminated this path. We found the clearing where we arrive. And we've joined each other. So as we prepare to shift back into connection and closure of this practice and connecting out into the world, perhaps tuning into what do you need to best support that transition? What are you taking with you from the deep places, all this movement? And as we open the gates, what is it that you'd like to bring with you? And once again, I'll invite you to very slowly wiggle or open your eyes or transition back if you're ready, knowing you can stay resting longer. And with palm to palm in front of my heart, I'd like to thank you for being here and for being part of this collective journey towards freedom. Namaste.